founding father of conservatism. No, not them, but the philosophy. People throw around the word conservative in willy-nilly in conversations nowadays. I'm looking at you, lad. That's not really what Burke necessarily was all about. In this video, we're breaking down Burke in a way that won't put you to sleep. Just a quick dive into who he was, what he believed, and why, surprisingly, you might still see his fingerprints on the world today. Edmund Burke was born in 1729 Dublin, in Ireland. He was educated, well-read, and a bit of a political oddball. He was the son of a Protestant dad and a Catholic mum, which, at the time, was basically like being raised on a fault line. He studied philosophy, law and writing, and then moved to London, where he spent most of his adult life in British Parliament, giving long, eloquent speeches and occasionally roasting his fellow politicians with the finesse of a Victorian diss track. His career was long, complicated, and filled with strong opinions. Mr. Burke, I think Twitter would have blown your mind. Okay, here's the core Burke thinking. Change is necessary, but it must be gradual. That's it. That is the big idea. He thought society was a delicate balance of inherited wisdom, moral values, and long-term institutions. And if you just tear that all down overnight, the results probably won't be pretty. To him, tradition wasn't just nostalgia, it was survival. A kind of slowly evolving user manual for civilization. Flawed, yes, but not something to casually toss out. A sort of, please don't reinvent the wheel while it's rolling mentality. Which brings us to Burke's most famous moment, his critique of the French Revolution. In 1790, he published
Reflections on the Revolution in France.
Basically an open letter to the French people like, hey, I get it, monarchy sucks, but have you considered not guillotining everyone? It was scathing, emotional, and surprisingly a poetic defence of gradual reform. And it didn't go over well with some of his friends, especially the more radical ones. While others were cheering on the revolution, Burke saw the warning signs. Unchecked idealism, loss of institutional structure, and chaos disguised as progress. And to be fair, he wasn't anti-progress, he just believed that tearing down complex systems without a backup plan usually leads to bad things. You know, like, the Reign of Terror. And yeah, within a few years, the revolution was executing its own leaders, so isn't that just wizard? Burke's ideas didn't die with powder wigs. In fact, they helped shape what today we call modern conservatism. Not in the shouty, pundit-driven way you see on today's news stations, but in the older, philosophical sense, the belief in inherited wisdom, slow reform, and social cohesion over rapid disruption. Strangely enough, he was also a strong critic of imperial abuse, supported the American Revolution at first, and spoke out against the British East India Company. Which makes his legacy complicated. He doesn't fit cleanly into modern categories. If anything, he's a reminder that political thought, like society, is kind of messy. And that's okay. So here's the thing. Burke gives us a framework for thinking about change. In an era where we're constantly sort of flipping between burn it down and bring it back, Burke's message lands somewhere in the middle. He asks us to slow down, consider the long game, and remember that chaos isn't always the best cure for injustice. I mean, you don't have to agree with him, but you're navigating in a world full of hot takes, fast fixes, and Twitter rambling mixed with a teensy bit of Elon glazing. His voice is one of the very few saying, let's think this through first. So, Edmund Burke, political philosopher, reluctant revolutionary, defender of tradition with just enough skepticism to stay interesting. Not exactly a household name, but maybe, quietly, one of the more relevant liberal thinkers to keep in your philosophical toolbox. And I'll leave you with a quote from the good old Burke himself.
The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
Yeah, I don't know how that links to his ideas on conservatism, but the first thing Google gave me, so yeah.